stuff on there.
Okay, we're recording now.
Hey, Laurel?
We're recording.
Oh, Steve's gonna be 15 late, so we can start without him
you can
and
start.
he'll join us. Okay, okay. I'll call the meeting to order, whatever time it is. Pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
Roll call. Steve Christensen.
Oh, I have to do that first? Sorry about that.
Okay, Don.
Approval of
Steve
the
is
agenda.
coming.
Didn't
Right.
expect the
15 minutes
agenda.
late.
Okay,
We'll
Mr. Barrett.
We'll know the time he comes.
Additions, corrections, deletions from the agenda.
Oh,
Hearing none, proceed to the roll call.
okay. Christensen is going to be late, you said. Ferricks,
Here.
Robbins,
Here.
Mr. Robbins, and Mr. Smith.
Here.
Good. Okay. Public comment?
Well, we won't have any public comment because we're not, this isn't live.
Pardon me?
We're just taping it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can go ahead with your,
Oh, cool. So we didn't have to do a public comment, or did we?
So when you
Did we
say
call it?
taping, you mean
Yeah.
audio or video or both?
both.
Oh,
Yeah.
that, oh, okay.
We
so-
have that ability.
So we still have to do public comment? Yeah.
Well, you just announced it and there's nobody here.
I see, okay. But they would, but if you're taping it, how would
Are
they
you
know?
working out the agenda?
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, I have it, I'm just not following it, that's all.
Do you have?
I just-
I do, so I
Do you
was.
have
So
an
how can the
they're
public
at the-
comment
Oh, okay.
if we're taping it?
That's why. the
It's up to
meetings-
the people that are present to speak publicly, and if they're not here, then it's not.
Yeah, well, it's here,
No,
we're
in the
doing it
audience,
here.
right.
It's nothing Zoom, no
Right.
Zoom, that's all. I
Correct.
know.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
Okay, action items. Approval of minutes from May, way back in May 25th, May, June, July.
I didn't do this.
Sorry, but I don't think you had a vote on approving the agenda. That is right before public comment.
Oh.
So
I
go ahead and do
apologize.
that.
Okay, we have to actually take a roll call vote on approving the agenda?
I make a motion, we approve agenda as written.
I second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
We
now-
got it. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Now we
You'll
gotta
keep
approve
that in the right
the,
order.
now we gotta go approve the minutes now.
Okay, approval of the minutes for May 25th, 01.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as
Second.
written.
Any comment? No. Approved? Any comments on the agenda? I'll refer to it later maybe, but nothing. Motion to approve is set on the floor.
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Next item, Grub Shack.
Yes.
The Grub Shack,
Gesundheit twice.
anyway, the Grub Shack at Myles Kimmerly is, I thought, I made a mistake. I thought when the board or somebody, not me, decided this should not be renovated, I thought it was out of our hands and the problem belonged to the board of commissioners, but I was wrong.
No, what happened was, and I gotta follow up on it.
Thank you.
We had, Timmy Newman was gonna move it free of charge. He wanted to move it that day, and Chet told him, like, well, we don't work that fast.
Right.
And he never came in, and maybe Laurel remembers, but he never came in and did the paperwork or it, because we were gonna approve that in July board meeting.
Right.
And get him to move it. So I gotta call him and see what's going on, and maybe take the paperwork to him and have him sign whatever he needs to be signed, and he'll move it. But he wanted, the day Chet and I got hold of him, he was gonna move it that afternoon, and we said, no, not that quick.
Yeah, because we gotta disconnect the water,
Yeah.
electricity, et cetera.
Yeah.
So I mean, either, I think I need to follow up to see if he's still gonna move it free, otherwise we go back to plan A, and we gotta hire somebody to
Demolition.
demo it.
Regardless of which way we go on a demolition or move the building, we still have to do the prep work of it to take care of the water and the electrical. And it's not just disconnecting, it's actually relocating it or put it in a position where it's
What do we use the water for?
irrigation, everything, irrigation of the soccer field and all.
So should we maybe
It
like,
has to stay right there, the well is right there.
yeah, but I mean, we shut it down for the winter?
You'd have to ask Scott what he.
Scott couldn't make it today, by the way.
I guess what I'm looking at is, maybe, you know, it gives me some time to get ahold of Tim, if he's gonna move it in the fall when we have to, you know, when we shut
And you
everything
gotta
down.
shut down, yeah, that's
I
right.
see. I'll check with Scott.
And then if you're gonna demo it,
Because if we unhook the water and electricity, how do we irrigate the rest of summer?
Right.
exactly.
Well, I don't think, you don't have to disconnect it, you can rearrange it outside of the building.
Yeah.
But it has to
That's
be insulated. It can't be
For the winter.
out in the weather, yeah.
Oh, we can,
I mean, I'll get ahold of Tim this week and see if he still wants it. And
yeah.
And find out, ask Scott, what it will take to drain everything. Or maybe he already does that.
Who? Scott?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna have to, if he's gonna take it, we're gonna have to drain everything and move it all.
Well, part of it's winterized, you know, for obviously for the sprinkler, but maybe that water source is more, maybe is it for everything, the drinking fountain?
I think it's for everything.
That
It is
probably
definitely
all
for
shut down
everything.
For the winter, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely, yes.
So it does get winterized then, okay. What's his Tim's last name?
What's that? Newman.
Newman? Okay. So you'll check with him, and I'll check with Scott about the winterizing and when they do it, what time they do it, and let you know about that. Okay. And then what about the electrical? Mike, you had mentioned something about if we're gonna disconnect, the electrical has to come out of that building. Now,
Yep.
do we put a panel there? Do we put a building, small building to enclose that? Do we take it out under the road and put it in the maintenance building? Thoughts?
You know, we're gonna have to have it housed, you know, so it would be my thoughts, since we have this other building, it should have been done a long time ago, have everything housed in the maintenance building, because it's all part of maintenance. And then we can put up a little kiosk with signs on it, with a little light on it, but right for the time being, it seems wise to put the electrical system and, and the water system in that building, and then we heat a small area of that building, or heat the whole
You
thing.
mean in the pole barn?
Uh-huh,
Yeah, I mean, because
makes sense.
but that's gonna be some cost there.
Those to me, they gotta.
Oh, absolutely.
Tunnel under the road, yeah.
Oh, it's gonna
I
be.
mean, I can see $10,000-12,000.
Well, that's why I wanted to renew the shack, because it's gonna cost us as much to
However,
move that stuff as it does to renew the shack.
if this Tim fellow takes the building at no cost, we have the demolition thing, I estimated around $20,000, as I recall. Don't quote me on that. And we have that money to utilize. and-
Demolition for that building,
It'd be far less than 20.
that demolition for that building, I can tell you right now, 130-yard dumpster and an excavator in about less than 2 hours.
It'd be about
of work.
$6,000.
I wouldn't even think $6,000.
Really?
Mhm.
I called some guy, I only called one person, and he was somewhere between.
He didn't want the
10 and
job.
20, Maybe not.
Or he figured if he gets the job.
Do you have an excavator?
No, but I have a friend that does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a tractor and I can knock the building down.
Yeah.
I'm a big tractor, I mean, full-size tractor, so I can
Okay.
just drive it over and knock it down.
Before there's any knockdown, we have to remove the electrical wall.
Exactly, and if Tim doesn't want it, I mean, I still would like to have that timber and then haul the junk away. I got a guy who'd come over there and he'd charge X, and he'd knock it down, or I could knock it down, he'd clean it up.
I mean, that's a
Go
hidden
ahead,
cost I
Steve.
didn't think of, is electrical and the water.
Yeah, well, that's what I was talking about before, that's gonna cost us 10 grand or close to it to reestablish that system. That's why I was pushing for the grub shack to be renewed, because and then we still don't have another building, okay?
Right.
And so, we're looking at
Okay, no
10,
problem.
12
We started,
grand
we're talking
to
about the
end up.
grub shack, so when you get here, you get here. Okay, take care.
We're talking about 10, 12 grand.
10 more minutes.
To reestablish what's already there.
Right.
And so for less than 10 grand, we refurbish the building and it looks good.
But I also know after yesterday's meeting, you know, we spent 10, 12 grand just to move some wires and pipe. It's gonna eat our budget because there's a few other members on my board that don't really wanna give much money to parks.
Exactly, but I'll tell you what, I bet we can talk them into renewing that shack. I bet you.
No, I think that's dead in the water.
Not if we say we're gonna have to spend 10, 12 grand for no shack and moving the electrical and the water over.
In 2011, we got a report that there was a lot of problems with the building. They went out there, quote me on when was this, Laura? They went out there with a building inspection.
The day of the last meeting, so it was June 16th.
Uninhabitable.
And we've got our professionals in inspections.
Right, and I mean, there's no doubt about that. It's not in great shape, but it can be.
I think it's beyond being in great shape. I think it's beyond saving, is what they termed it.
Yeah.
Did this go before?
I mean, I
the
agree
board?
with Mike, anything can be fixed.
Right.
But I mean, it's just, we're government and it's not gonna happen. It's not like private sector.
Okay, yeah, I guess I gotta stop thinking like that.
Did the whole board of commissioners comment about that building and not to renovate it?
No, they haven't talked about the building, but just parks in general and, I mean, the money that they were throwing out yesterday for budget, I mean, some of them like,
So we're just reacting here to the letter from 2011 and the letter from this year about that this is something, and then Chet supported that, and he felt strongly that we should not even go there. That's the sense I got. And I thought I was away, I don't know, I was not part of this, but I just thought that somebody above me made that decision that you guys don't even think about renovating the building.
Well, you know,
If you want to take it to the board.
right, it's
well,
basically what we want to do is make sure that everybody has all the information, okay, and then make a decision that's appropriate based on the ability to garner funds and make the changes necessary, either knock down the building, remove the building, and then transfer the electrical and the water system into another shelter of some sort.
So-
Irregardless, it's gonna cost a chunk of money. And if,
Well, I thought we'd pass that hurdle, but if you want to take this back to the Park and Rec Commission next week, next a week from today.
I just think we need to look at, you know, as
All
we're
the
speaking,
options, yeah.
all, you know, not just the options, they're not thinking about what it's gonna cost, okay, to re-shelter, what is necessary to be sheltered.
well,
I think if we put it in the maintenance building, all you have to do is tunnel underneath the road. You don't have
Exactly.
to dig up the road, you can.
That's right, just like we talked about, I mean, and if that's done, we have to have a plan in place, so if somebody's gonna remove the building, then we gotta have the electrical and the water system
That's right.
protected.
We can do that anytime, because the building without any water or electrical can be there for whatever, as long as we take care of it before the frost and.
Exactly right.
everything.
Yeah.
So that doesn't bother me, so we have to act on it.
Right, that's the key, is if we're gonna remove the building, destroy the building, whatever, we still have to have shelter.
I think we're moving forward to destroy it.
And I thought that was a done deal.
And Plan B was if Timmy, you know, and still wants to move it free, it saved us the $5,000 or $6,000 to.
Right. I'll contact a guy I know, Jeff April, and see if Jeff wants to give me an idea what it would cost to knock the building down. And that way we'd have.
Well, let's see what Newman's gonna do first.
Okay.
Yeah, the one at a time.
And,
But
let's.
when Steve gets here, we could take a vote, and the vote will probably be, I think, I'm not sure, 3-1, to just go ahead and let's take care of
rid
the
of it.
building, get rid of it. I
Yeah.
think.
Or if anybody wants it.
So you're recommending to the Parks Commission?
Well, we haven't voted, no, I'm just talking about, we'll wait till Steve comes, he might have a comment on it, and maybe Mike can
But
advance it.
whatever you're doing today is you're recommending to the Parks.
Yes,
Commission.
exactly, oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, because the minutes reflect, Smith asked if they need to make a decision today regarding the grub shack. Frericks responded, the committee would meet later to discuss this further, which we're doing now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the key, just so we understand the parameters, that's all.
But I really thought we were all on the same
Well,
page.
I'm definitely.
You are, but you're not.
Well, only because,
You're not.
I'm not because, I'm not totally there because of the fact that if we end up having to spend a great deal more money and we don't have the money available, what do we have, 9 grand? Just, or, available for, do we have any money available for Myles Kimmerly, I say?
Yeah, Myles Kimmerly, we have $30,000 in the budget to do things for Myles Kimmerly. I don't know how much of that we've spent. I haven't looked at.
And
How much came
that-
off the clearance?
And Scott didn't bring the budget stuff today.
Okay, so
He'll
that's,
bring it next week.
that's key, because we wanna know, because we're gonna have to make some changes in terms of electrical and water. And
No
Tim can
question.
come get the
But I-
building,
but I
or,
have no idea how much that's gonna cost. I don't think it's gonna cost as much as you might be thinking, but maybe not. You have a better idea than I do, I'm sure.
well, what I was thinking is, we were talking about establishing a pad and some sort of a structure. But
Okay.
I think just moving kit and caboodle would be the cheapest, straight over to.
I would
the whole
support
building.
that. And then we have that open space with that building that we don't know if it's gonna be torn down by you or taken away by Tim
Right.
or whatever. It's
Have it
just sitting
available
there.
for destruction or
Right.
takeaway.
And
I think
then
that's where we should go.
I do too. After the fact, then we have this whole area we can develop any way we want.
Right.
Now, what I did hear from Scott, I talked to him yesterday, he can't make it today because there's actually a college soccer game going on there between Central Michigan and Virginia. University of Virginia.
What, at Myles Kimmerly?
Honestly.
No.
Stop by there.
The schools like coming up here. to,
Yeah.
For
this-
training.
Good for
Yes,
training
it's a
camp.
fun training camp for them, and there are football teams from all over that will come and train on the dunes, and they have their teams run down the dunes and back up.
Oh, wow.
That's been going on for decades.
Yeah, that's special there. And man, what a fun thing to run down. Nowadays, I could never do it. My knees couldn't take it, not because you're slamming, but I don't have the good balance, taking those long strides.
Going down isn't a big deal, it's going back up.
Yeah, especially the second time. Have you ever gone down?
So let's keep going.
Yep.
I have to take one segue a little bit, back to the soccer. It's Central Michigan University and the University of Virginia. Who do you think the home field is? It's the University of Virginia.
What?
Don't ask me, next time when Scott's here, ask him. I said, what?
Well, maybe they take turns.
I know that's their home field. When this, whatever they're doing,
Yeah.
it's a training, a pre-season thing or training camp, I don't know.
That's because everybody goes miles to get there.
That's so, yeah,
That's supposed to be a little joke,
Okay.
Goes miles to get there.
Yeah. So, well, Steve didn't hear this conversation, but we can have a 3-0 vote. We'll just take it to the commission next week, and they might react to the fact, do they want to keep it there and put a little shack up, or do they want to put it under the road? And I would support what you're saying, but we'll see. Scott really wanted it to stay there, a little building, shelter, and move the porta potties. He's got this thing, he wants to move the porta potties away from over there to over here, because they're out of sight a little better behind the building.
I'd just like to see nothing there and then establish what we want there upon our will.
Well, those are gonna be
Okay?
sure options.
And just move everything over to that, and that's what I said the very first time I looked at this place. We should have everything in
Yeah.
one building.
So let's talk about that next week. Sound good?
Yep.
We can leave this? We're just gonna say we're gonna take this to the board? Do we have to make a motion?
Well, we
that?
have to make a motion, and Steve, we should wait for Steve for that.
Okay, can we go on to the next thing and come back to
you,
this?
you can revisit that.
Okay.
I would like to make a suggestion that you might have a few different options, and one thing you might be able to take advantage of is if you sweet talk John Walter into potentially preparing some rough, because he does a lot for Veronica.
Mhm.
And if you give him an idea of what you're envisioning, he might be able to draft something, because he has an architectural background.
Yeah, John, and Dave has always said to me, if you need John to do something for you, he'd be more than happy to.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's, and we're all one commissioner.
Yeah,
We're not-
he's
we're
very
not-
good.
What, fixing the building?
No, he could come up
He could come with a
with
sketch.
some sketches for what you envision for that
Oh, yeah.
part of the park,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, he give us two, just, if it's totally nothing, and if we leave the electrical and the water there, two options.
Personally, I just think
How
when you drive into that park, it seems cluttered. And if you have nothing on the left-hand side, it'll seem a lot less cluttered, and I'd like to see everything on the right-hand side, personally.
Kiosk too?
No kiosk, add the kiosk to the right-hand side, yes.
Oh, really?
But nothing on the left-hand side, because it's just, it's like driving into a little village instead of opening up into a park. Just my thought, that was the first time, years ago when I went there, I thought, oh, that's an odd, you know, stuff on this side, stuff on that side.
We can have, I'll mention that to John when I talk to him, and have him maybe draw up a couple of things. Make it a
That's
quick
what I
sketch.
thought, just if we click, you know, we don't have to do anything, but just get it cleared out where the building's
Yeah.
gone, the electrical's gone, and
Yeah.
down the road, maybe there's something else that will pop up.
Yeah, so all three of us support putting the electrical and water
Yeah,
absolutely
absolutely.
in this building, I do too.
And I don't even know if it has to go under, you know, if it's already on the other side of the road, you probably just leave it where it's at, cut it there, and then run it over to the,
Or something like
yeah.
that, an electrician, water people, plumber. And you don't have to heat the building to do that, because you utilize the water anyway, so.
Maybe.
And Scott has a little heater out there, and he heats it up.
Yeah.
He's got
And it's
that-
so well insulated.
He's got that insulation, I knew you'd bring that up. It's on the agenda, right? Next time. Okay, I'm gonna go to number 3, and we can go back to number 2. Number 3 is the logging cleanup update. And actually, boy, this is terrible, because I was gonna have, Scott comment on this. But, I will say, I went out there when I got back, I was on vacation, I got back, and I walked the emergency trail. They did a real nice job of making emergency trail. It's very walkable, but they left some rocks, understandably, a few rocks and twigs and stuff like that. That I could go out, you could go out, 6 of us could get together and clean up a little, and that should be done. And I mentioned to Scott, maybe we could have some volunteers do that, and he was sort of supportive of that. But, I don't know, we kind of left it, I was waiting for him to talk about it today. So it's kind of in limbo right now. So we can, maybe talk about that later. Did anybody else get out there and see the work that was done?
I just seen the
The disc
pictures.
golf
It
looks
I've heard
good.
it's good,
Yeah.
yes.
And I talked, I don't know if Scott had any comments on the disc golfers, I asked him about that, and I don't remember quite what he said. I'm not sure, but I'm sure they're pleased, with it. They must be. Any comments at all, anything? Were the pictures that you sent, do you remember those? Was it a before and after, or was it from the same spot?
Yeah, I asked him that.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. But it was at seasonal time of year, things like that, it was hard to tell. Okay, on to number 4. What we've done before, no, not really, before Steve gets here. Trail signage update. I talked to Rob Herman and asked him how the aerials were coming, and they're not in yet. And I talked to him earlier about a GPS for the tracker that you had mentioned and everything. And to my surprise, I didn't hear this, but Scott was out there, he's done it all, it's all
Oh,
done. Scott
okay.
did it, didn't tell me, he didn't tell you.
Did he have like an app on his phone or something?
I don't know, he got something from Rob. you know.
Okay, oh, great,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so, and so we can, when we talk about number 6, we can maybe do the same thing, which you had also just suggested for that. So that's the only thing on the trail update. We're still coordinating that with Veronica Valley to make sure that all the signs are gonna be similar, the same, et cetera, et cetera. Any comments on that? Okay,
So what will you want to move forward to the regular session next week?
I'm sorry.
What will you want to move to next week's regular session? The grub shack?
Yeah.
I'll just have a Myles Kimmerly report and I'll talk about everything.
Right, But I just want to identify a few things.
I think the grub.
Yeah, it's squarely beyond the grub shack.
We need to-
And the transfer of the infrastructure for running that park.
We
really,
thought
the
this was gonna be-
electricity.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean, those three, absolutely, yeah, that's the grub shack. In fact, if you want me to just not talk about anything else, that's probably good, and we really focus on
Yeah,
it.
I think that'd be a good thing to focus on because we gotta get this done. It's been going on for decades, let's do something and get it done.
Well, logging cleanup was how many years? That got done.
Yeah.
So that's good. So the grub shack's
Absolutely.
longer, actually, isn't it? Okay, we're getting there. Okay, now for new stuff. Rick, dog park, planning, funding, update, any stuff, start us out.
It's done,
It's done.
yeah.
Tell me about it.
Dogs can run wherever they want.
I love it.
Transfer. We don't need a fence.
Well, that was my first thought, but no, you convinced me we do need the dog park, and now I'm into dog parks. And everybody I talk to thinks dog parks are a great idea. It doesn't have to be an urban thing.
I wasn't really into it, I just threw it on Facebook, and I thought people would reject it, and
Yeah.
the only one who rejected it was my friend Craig Elhart.
I have it in my notes, Rick said, this is my project, this is my one effort on this committee. I'm gonna make that dog park happen. The ball's in your court. I know you got a lot of other stuff going on, and you gotta make, I can't imagine your agendas for the commission,
But
for this committee, the dog park is yours. You got it, you want it, you got it. So there's lots of issues we have to talk about, you know. Where do we want it? How big a dog park? Big, small? Do you want a stainless steel, you want a coated steel, do you want, you know, all sorts of things.
I guess where I'd like to see it, but it's probably gonna upset some people, like we talked, I don't think.
You
that-
cannot put it in the middle of the soccer field.
Why not?
No.
Well,
Just
and
'cause
They love to chase balls. so-
And it would fertilize the grass.
That's it. Well, we could have a moving dog park.
No, you know, I'm just going on what talking to people, I mean, I don't think that golf thing or putting or whatever, or range, I mean, is it really justified anymore? I mean, I don't know, how much use does it get?
Yeah. Can you give us some feedback on that?
I have no idea.
I've
I would
never-
ask Scott if he's there all the time. He can
I've
tell
never
you if
seen anybody
anyone's.
there.
I mean, we have so many golf courses, I mean, is it, I mean, that's where I feel the dog park needs to go.
Okay, and the one issue that did come up, it's right along the border, and we might get complaints from the neighbors about the parking dogs and all
Oh,
that.
that's Freddie, and I'll take care of him.
Okay.
No. Is the golf thing right next to you?
Pardon me?
Is the golf thing right next to Fred's?
Uh,
I think it's
what's
kind of
his
a
last
ways
name?
away, but then we have to look, we gotta look long range too, if we're gonna put a path there. Where's the path gonna go?
Well, you know, you have a 1 mile loop that can look like this, but a loop can look like this, so you can go in and out and around.
But I
make
mean,
more
is it gonna
creative.
go in where
Oh, yeah, but that's the next item we're gonna talk about, but, you know, just to keep an open mind about it, I mentioned this jerk on the phone the other day. We have a field across the road that's not used, and, you know, it's just there, and it's part of our park. And if we could leave that alone, or we could develop it. And one way to develop it and make it more, part of the park is to put the trail over there and put the dog park over there. But Rick pointed out appropriately so, I think, then you're separating the kiddie area from the path where the kids might use that, and, you know, then the dog park alone over there is a bad idea, so you've convinced me that we should keep everything on the one side, but we do have to think about, what do we want to do with that other side?
Well, there was talk a few months ago about perhaps Glen Lake Schools wanted to
I'm
partner.
sorry, I can't hear you.
Glen Lake Schools wanted to potentially partner with us on new ball fields, and I
Oh.
just wondered if there was any update to
I
that.
thought they'd backed out.
Are we sure, though?
Well, you know,
Tennis
there was
they're
a-
doing something out there, putting in
There was a change in
a fancy
superintendents.
playground or something right now.
I don't know.
I mean, they got some big project going on that really kind of interferes with what we've got going on in the park. when we could be working together.
I can ask Chet to check with the superintendent just to see if that's dead in the water.
That'd be great.
Because Casey was all excited about it.
Is that big enough area for, for a ballpark? I know it's long, but is it?
They were talking about an additional baseball and softball field. So whatever that would entail, acre-wise.
Well, that's nice, yeah.
Because what we talked about, Laurel, is, I mean, when we're looking at a long-term plan here is, you know, it's like they want to pave Veronica. And it's like,
Not gonna happen.
I don't want to really see it happen because that's supposed to stay natural. And it's like, I'd rather take that money and put in what we're gonna pave there, put it towards the walking path at Myles there. But what I was telling Don here is, we have 3 parks. Veronica is supposed to be the nature reserve park. Old Settlers seems to be holding its own right now. They've got it fixed up halfway decent. And it's like, we have 3 parks and we're just, at the end of the day, it just seems like we're just throwing, it's like putting perfume on a pig. It's like there's just not enough money there to take care of what needs to be done. It's like we need to really focus on Myles. Should be our focal point, should be our civic center of Leelanau County. And that's what we're kind of looking at, you know.
I would say it's probably the most used out of the 3 parks.
What's that?
It's the most used.
Yeah,
It's
but I just feel like we're spreading, you know, we got 3 parks and we're just spreading, we're on our budget so thin that nothing's really ever getting done on any of them. And like I said, I just feel like Myles is the most, and it should be our civic center for our county.
I agree, and it's, I think it's, if you look at the paint, it's in sore need of paint on all the buildings on the right-hand side. I mean, if you walk in and you have any sort of put an eye to any of those buildings, all of the buildings, bathrooms and everything, all of them need to be painted, and, which is what I mentioned to you, okay, before, and while we were there, is when we painted the grub shack, then we could just jump right over and paint the rest. Well, I would like to see all the stuff on the right-hand side painted and looking sharp, having some nice detail. Here we have all these people coming in there, and it sets a precedent for not having high standards.
It's not kept up.
It's not kept up. And here we're putting a lot of money into a variety of things, but I surely agree, you know, I'm not part of the Veronica Valley, but I'd say before Veronica Valley gets paved, I'd surely like to see those buildings painted and freshened up. Because here we have this grub shack, and it's gonna be gone, but we still have those other buildings. If we don't take care of them, they're gonna be in the shambles.
Well, I think the majority of the people, my reading on the Parks and Rec Commission is the majority of the people support the idea that Myles Kimmerly needs more attention than the other parks. And they support it. Dave Barron just said all his money is for next year. He's willing to push over toward, but it's not his money for next year. I mean, it's the commission's money. We just hold it back and forth.
There you
Hey
go.
there.
Oh, now we can't talk.
Okay, don't tell them all of our secrets.
Rick, you made it. Good.
So I really do think there's support.
I apologize.
Steve should comment on this.
That's all right, we got a lot covered.
He's on all 3 committees.
Right.
We're being a little provincial in the sense that this is our park, this isn't our park, this is the county's park, this is the whole commission's park. We just happen to be stuck on this committee, you know, or whatever, instead of on being on another committee. So we're not being provincial in saying that all the monies for the next 3 years, we just voted on this, by the way, go to Myles Kimmerly for its renovation and upkeep, painting the buildings, putting in the loop trail, putting in the dog park, and partnering with Glen Lake to put in softball and baseball fields across the road. You missed a lot.
Okay, so.
Life is like that.
The great thing is, we're really talking, in my mind, and I think all of ours, while you've been gone, a couple of things that are important, and that is getting rid of the building, the grub shack, okay, however, whatever means it is, and transferring the infrastructure of that building, the water and the electrical, over to the pole building, so it's all housed in one area, and just leaving the left-hand side open, so that it's more of a park mentality when you drive in, so all the buildings are on the right, and it's opened up on the left-hand side, is my thought.
And maybe for further development, but leave it alone right now.
Yeah.
And we don't know how much it will cost to put the wires underground and all that, but it just can't be that much.
That's what,
But the porta potties would still be there.
we could transfer those over by the picnic area.
Well, you could.
I'm just kidding.
No, you could, but then you gotta say, then the people that are playing soccer has to jump across the road, which
Yeah.
is not the best thing. So we gotta think about that.
Yeah.
That's why Scott wanted porta potties moved over to behind a kiosk with a pavilion overhead. And we're gonna have John Walter.
I suggested perhaps John could do a couple proposed renderings for what could be done.
Yeah. So we're thinking about two things, and we're gonna take that to the full commission in a week.
So what are your thoughts?
What else you missed? The logging cleanup, we just briefly touched on. Trail signage, nothing really there, except that Scott did do a GPS walk of all the trails there, and he's marked them all, and has them all marked out for Ron Herman to make his map, which I
Nice.
thought was great. And now we're talking about the dog park. And
Right,
if-
right. The infrastructure thing is kind of interesting. There's a little bit of an unknown. There was an idea of possibly moving all of that infrastructure, like you said, over to have it be by the one building.
The main ones, right?
Yeah, and there is a little bit of an unknown as to what there is to do and what's underneath and how that would actually happen. So I think the cost and the cost of that might be more than we would think. And I don't know physically, there were some unknowns, and it looked to be complicated and expensive than just having a little tiny on that side to cover up what's there, done
Do we
cheap.
have somebody in-house that can evaluate
But-
that?
Good question. Maybe the code office could pitch in a little bit and give us a hand. I don't know for sure. I think Scott went partway down that road once already, so he might have some input too.
Yeah, good electric, I don't know, good electric, you have to have plans, what's there, that sort of thing.
Well, it's all of the irrigation stuff, and all of the electrical stuff, so, and I don't know what's underneath. I don't know how that actually connects and whatnot.
Is it just a water pipe there, or is a well right there?
There's a well, I think.
The well is
That's
there.
what I
The
think.
well
Yeah, the
right
well
next
is
to-
between the tree and the building.
It is?
Yeah.
They just piped water over to that building?
Yeah, I mean, because it's like 5 feet away.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's water lines all over, there's.
But the well is right by the building between, there's
Just
that
to the right of
big,
it,
big tree.
But it's not in the building?
No, it's out.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Scott would be the one to kind of touch base with.
He was
To see how complicated that is. I mean, visually and logically, that's a home run. And I think the only reason it hasn't been done is trying to figure out something cheaper and simpler on the other side, and then whether or not we tear it down or fix it that.
So does, we need to make a proposal, because I would like to make a motion to do that, so we move ahead.
Isn't there a tear down in kind of in motion?
Well, what happened was yeah, we were gonna tear it down, and then I just happened to call Tim Newman back in June, and he says, yeah, I want the building. I called him that morning. He called me back, he called Chet that morning. At 8 o'clock, he wanted to move the building 2 o'clock that afternoon. We're like, no, we gotta like get it approved.
So he wants it.
He wants it,
And
but then he
he'll-
never came in and filled out the paperwork, so I gotta track
Track some
him
wire
down.
out, she was gonna.
He would take it free.
Oh, gosh, he's good. I mean, he
Yeah.
moved a little building for me, it's just like magic what he does.
Yeah, and it'd save us a bunch of money.
Perfect.
And then, see, it was a bunch of money.
Perfect.
And then, But I gotta get a hold of them and maybe have to drive them up here to sign the paperwork.
That's huge. If we can get rid of that building, then all the other stuff will fall into place.
Yeah.
We do have to move on it because of the frost coming and everything, so can you make sure you touch bases with him before the meeting?
Yeah, I tried to.
Do we need to make a motion with regard to that, Tim Newman taking the building?
No,
You can recommend to the full Parks Commission that
yeah,
that's what.
I mean, I said Chet was handling that, and, we were gonna have it, well, Chet was gonna handle it, have him come sign paperwork, and then in July meeting, our executive meeting, we were gonna approve it and everything move forward, but he never came in to get the paperwork.
We could just say, you know, I make a motion, we recommend to the full Parks Commission to move forward on removal of the building
Yeah.
with Mr. Newman.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
At no cost.
You don't have his number.
That doesn't sound like
At
it.
no cost.
At no cost.
620 something.
Did you hear that? At no cost.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'd call him right
Second?
now.
Okay, any discussion, further discussion? We vote, can we just raise your hands on this?
Yeah.
Okay,
All in favor?
all in
Aye.
favor? Okay, we got that. Okay. So now, do we need a motion to get those wires on the other side of the road?
We definitely do, actually, we should do that before we remove the
Yeah,
building.
that's exactly right, we have to have that done before.
Well, I think electric can be shut off from building removal.
But it runs the water well and the whole system there.
But don't you have power on
Sprinkler
the other
system.
side right now?
We do, but we have to make sure we have power coming from
See, we're thinking about doing it in
the
the fall. when we're
grub shack side, I believe, going over there rather than the inverse.
Personally.
And so we need to make sure that we have adequate power to run the whole system.
But Mike, when they're building a house or renovating a house.
But I don't know, but I believe so.
They take the electrical out, they put it on a pole,
Mhm.
and
Right. Oh,
they can do
absolutely.
that- They can do a temporary thing like that, but
Absolutely.
that's not the recommendation we should take to the board. We should say, I think, I really support, Mike supports moving it over to the maintenance building.
Well,
Not knowing the cost, not knowing the problems, pending.
I think we
review.
should research it, and I
Yeah.
think the motion and the vote to move the building is fine. I think what to do with the electricity is a detail. And the
Oh, I see
detail,
what you
the
mean.
detail
It's a
has to be
given- it's a
worked
given
out.
that has
But
to be done.
we need to do some research through Scott
Mhm.
about the movement of all of the utilities to the other side of the road. I know we went partway down that pathway and Scott was involved, and I'm sure he'll remember
Okay.
how that all sits and lays and what we have to do to
If,
do further research. I mean,
Is it the
if,
code office? Is there, I'll be happy to contact somebody there if you give me a name or something.
let's go through Scott. Is he?
Yeah.
Just go through Scott.
He
Just a
just- he
suggestion
didn't come
for
to the
us.
meeting today, he's at a soccer game, he doesn't care about it. No, he had to be there.
Well, just a thought, in terms of crossing the road and drilling underneath and all those things, if it's necessary that we need to, transfer, things, everything to the other side, except for juice coming to the pump itself, just a thought, we could chop a hole and cut the pavement and then put a little speed bump there, okay? To slow, and I know traffic's not going fast anyway, but you know what I'm saying? Just instead of it having a divot, okay, have it be a little mound there. And so that would aesthetically be okay. It would look good in the end instead of it being.
And you paint it, like it looks like a crosswalk.
Exactly.
Oh, I found his number, I'm gonna go call him.
Okay.
Does that decrease?
Yeah, I don't have it.
Does that decrease the cost?
Huh?
But if you dig through down instead of tunnel under, you think?
I know.
Well, that's what I'm saying, the whole concept of what is there and what needs to be moved needs to
Right.
be researched.
Right, and that's why I'm just
Just
throwing
for
this
us to
idea
sit
out.
here and say, let's move it across, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and,
You bring up a
you know,
good
I'm
point.
thinking of, ease of maintenance and having a reasonable cost and having it be able to be done now. If we're gonna move everything and get, 3 companies involved to try to move utilities across the street,
Then we have to take bids.
everything has to happen, and then, you know,
Yeah.
it turns into something that's pretty complicated, whereas a very small structure to house the utilities is real simple.
You're talking temporary structure or permanent structure?
You know, if we're gonna remove that building, let's
Just a
do a
little
nice
house.
little
Yeah.
structure, and we can go back to the concrete and a
Sure.
roof and a couple picnic tables. The one that Scott loves, he loves that idea, so.
He does, he wants that.
If that building's gone, let's go back to that Scott's idea, we'll put a, you know, just the end
Well,
of,
that's where we're gonna have
the
John
end
do
of,
two things.
just a building, and then a roof that gives us another overhang for a couple picnic tables, like it is across the street.
Kind of like a patio.
Right,
Yeah.
however, you know, doing a little comparative analysis, cutting a hole across the road and having everything in the pole barn versus that, just to see what the cost would be.
Sure, I think that's what I'm
So we
saying,
had some
research,
Exactly, a little research there.
research,
Have
that
him-
goes a long way, and I don't,
Right,
I'm thinking that it was sounding really complicated. I mean, you've got, all of the pumping systems that are for that irrigation for that field, aren't going anywhere, I don't think. Those
No.
have to be housed.
that's right.
We're not gonna take all of those things over there, so all of that has to stay there. So there's a certain amount of infrastructure that's gonna stay there no matter what.
Anyway, good point. Yeah, the pressure tank and all that.
All of those switches and all of that
Yeah.
hoorah for that, I mean, that soccer field and the irrigation for the soccer field are a significant part of what we do at Myles, and it takes a certain amount of money to do that, and we'll run it by Scott, but I think we're gonna need to keep that stuff there, rather than move that stuff across the street, because it's a lot of complicated switches and tubes and all that
That's
hoorah,
right.
if you know what I mean.
The water's just not a water line, is that?
Oh, I understand, that's why my original idea was.
Don't
to-
go there, don't go there. Don't, no. Okay. You put up a good point. We have to do our homework, and the brunt of the work is not done at meetings, it's done up before, outside the meetings, after the meeting, before the next meeting.
Yeah, the research on that one
So
will
we
be
have to
important,
really do that.
I think it could be ready fairly soon, but I think
would-
again, going
would-
through
I'll
Scott
take-
is.
I take the responsibility of talking to Scott and
Yeah.
Cody, and I'll
Yeah, he'll
touch base
definitely
with
work.
you and involve you, and we'll get the ball rolling on
And to
it.
have the building moved, you know, I think that's important,
And I'll get John to
and,
draw some diagrams.
we'll, whatever has to be done to move the building with regard to electric and water.
That's right.
Is
Rick is
a
gonna do that.
detail,
Yeah.
and we can have the code office help us with that detail, and that'll push us into the next step.
So we gotta do all this before the next meeting in 1 week. We can do this. Because the time's just ticking away, ticking away, ticking away. It's gonna be, snow's gonna be on the ground. We're gonna get this done this year. The grub shack is gonna be gone this year. Let's talk, you already paid Tim Newman, right?
Yeah,
He's gonna go up to his house tonight at 10 o'clock if he doesn't answer his page.
well, that's about what time he's home.
The brunt of things are done, not at the meeting, it's done in between the meetings, it really is.
What is Tim's?
You
source?
were out there picking up crap
I
under
know.
the shack.
That's right.
It wasn't during a meeting, come on.
That's right, so what is Tim's, how's he make a living? Is this what he does?
That's what he does for a living.
Okay, and what is his number?
I'm not gonna give it to him, because you're gonna talk about it. moving.
That's
Oh,
right,
no,
don't-
I'm not at all.
I agree,
No, I definitely won't. I will.
No, we got one.
I want him to move it.
One person is a good thing, 2 persons is harassment.
No, I'm not, this has nothing to do with the shack.
No, I don't believe that.
No, it's true.
2 weeks, we'll give you his number.
That's okay.
Okay.
The 2 weeks is fine, because I won't need him before 2 weeks, that's for sure.
2 weeks. Okay, can we go on to, what do we want to talk about? Well, we backed up, because Steve came late, when you kept all those things. The dog park, anything more you want to say about the dog park? I hope you do.
Well, like I say, we gotta go back to what's our long-term plan? I mean, where's the loop gonna go? And You know, I mean, we really need to sit down instead of just,
You think that we should do the loop before the dog park? Do you agree with that?
well, we don't have to, but I mean, we need to know, I don't wanna build
Well, I
a
think
dog
we should.
park and that's where the loop is
Yeah,
gonna go.
okay, well, I think we should talk about the loop trail.
I have a question. Should we have somebody tweak that plan? I mean, obviously, the loop's going different than it originally was, and now there's another little loop, and now the septic system is probably gonna go away. But, so, I don't know, should that plan be tweaked, I guess is my question. Because ballparks, there were 2 bigger ballparks, and we don't need those. Just, you know, I mean, so many things are different from what we've decided and talked about. And so that plan is really obsolete.
Oh, yeah.
Should we have somebody redo the plan? I guess is the question. Should we spend any money on that or not? I guess that's.
I think Lauren's idea with Mr. Walter or Walters, was it Walter or Walters? Walter. Is a good idea, and you're saying the same thing.
Yeah, well, let's do the.
Maybe we're thinking the whole park, Laurel?
No, just for now, the concept of what you want to do in replacement of the grub/storage shack can give you an idea of what could be done.
Right, until we have the grub shack and the trail, you know, we gotta know those 2 things before we do anything else.
That's probably true.
Well, then she mentioned earlier, Laurel did, that Glen Lake maybe want a team up to build some ball diamonds over on the other side.
And we haven't heard anything new since they got the new superintendent, so.
Was Casey gonna kind of?
Yeah, Casey
Mother
was
hen
kinda
handle
doing
over
that.
But you're
Maybe
checking
it's,
Chevy.
maybe it's time to
Yeah.
move all the ballparks over on that one side, I don't know.
Well, we have 10 acres.
Yeah,
That's a pretty big, I don't know how much can fit in 10 acres with regard to ballparks. but
yeah, but I mean, thinking, you know.
Maybe, you know,
And that's why I think we just need to.
At least 2.
We gotta come up
maybe
with
3.
long-term plans instead of piecemealing this, because we're gonna be in trouble if we,
well, that's what I was kind of getting at.
Yeah.
We had a plan and now we've chopped it up.
well, how long ago was that plan?
Dusty did that probably 8 years ago.
I think it's time.
Anybody have that copy of that with them?
No, I don't think so.
It's in
And
the
at
master.
one point you mentioned
5-year plan.
pickleball courts. Are you still thinking about that?
Pickleball courts are hot
Yeah.
and it would be amazing to have a couple of them there. And there's plenty of room for them.
That would probably be higher than the dog park.
Yep.
Yeah, that pickleball is amazing.
Yeah.
I can't believe how many, and little kids play it. and
They love it.
Seniors
You're right.
play it.
That's great, but
Because what's the closest one to Traverse probably? Isn't it?
No.
Well, they put
Herman
some
Park.
in, Glen
Herman
River.
Park.
Oh, they don't.
There's a couple there.
all these ideas are good, but they all cost money. So I think we have to focus on what's our prime goal this year, or next year, actually. The grub shack is this year. I think that's a done deal by the end of the year. So next year, I think our goal should be to work on this loop trail.
The question with the loop trail, I think, well, other than where it's actually gonna go, and I think we should meet there. Can we meet as a quorum and walk it?
Yeah,
Can we?
You're skating on thin ice because you don't want to be in a position where you're working towards rendering a decision or a recommendation.
What do they
So
call it?
anytime you're in a forum,
just
all
getting
of us showing
ideas.
up for
What-
assessment.
What do they call that when they go out
You're-
and come back?
Reconnaissance.
This week.
you would meet here, you would start the meeting, and then you would recess it to go off-site. Someone would still be taking notes, and then you'd have to come back here and finish up and stop your meeting.
Okay,
So
we could do that because
We'll
Or
do
we
that next
can't,
month.
we can't have a meeting right there at the park and have notes?
That's what I've just described is typically what we've done in the past.
I know.
We haven't done it where you would open it up at the park.
These guys live west of the park, they come all the way here, go all the way back, all the way back. That's,
I can talk with Michelle about whether we can come to some sort of halfway point on how to conduct that, but I know that she'd strongly suggest not
really.
doing it at the site.
It would be so helpful to just meet there even first and then maybe come here, but to go back and forth seems ridiculous. Because we need to be able to plan
on site.
Well, what would be nice is to be able to be there and walk.
Yeah,
Right,
we'll
and-
have a meeting.
And,
We gotta be able to talk about it.
well, I mean, just talk about where it could be, we don't have to deliberate.
Right.
That would be a tough point, but we could definitely concentrate on informational discussion versus deliberation discussion.
If we don't vote or make a recommendation.
We
It's
have
either that
done
or-
something in the past relative to parks, where we did something off-site, and we had to take notes at the site. So I'll talk to Michelle, I'll get some ideas on what will work, because the whole point is making sure it's compliant with the Open Meetings Act. That's what
You know, did they not do something like that when Chet and all those other people went out there and discussed it and made that recommendation and so forth? Let's see, who was there? It was, okay, building inspector, maintenance director.
That wasn't a meeting, and you didn't have a quorum of your commission members.
Committee.
So that's
Each
different.
commission or
Could
committee.
we just have a gathering and not call it a meeting then, and then come here?
You're considered quorum whether you're here or if you're at Dick's eating lunch, and you're a quorum. So
The
you have to
only-
be very careful.
The only way to skin the cat is to have you two meet and walk it, and us two meet and walk it separately.
We can do that.
Yeah, we could do that, but still.
That's two, it's not a quorum.
So what you can do
Two at a
is,
time could walk it.
you can post the meeting notice here, you can post it at the park site, that would, need the Open Meeting Act compliance for posting, and then someone would have to take notes, and we have to make sure that well in advance, everyone knows that you're meeting there.
Okay, cool.
Can you, the person taking notes would have to be independent from the committee?
No, we would have someone there taking
One of
notes.
the committee members could take
I don't
some
wanna,
notes?
I'll tell you right now, I'm not getting into someone
Sure.
from the committee taking notes, because you're gonna end up with half a page with a quick couple sentences, and it won't really give a good flavor of what
Well,
you're
Michael's
doing.
motorcycle, somebody can ride on the back of that, we'll take one of you out.
Yeah, I'll take you. I got a good gold wing.
Not a problem. You will
Yeah,
enjoy
I
it.
volunteer. I'll do it.
So, this is a serious question now. What if we say it's not a committee meeting, but it's a commission meeting, Park and Rec Commission meeting, and it just happens to be the four of us?
You're trying to evade the true intent of this meeting.
Okay, so it sounds like though, what she said could be accomplished. Could you double check on that? And we have a notice here and a notice there, and somebody's there to take notes, and all of us gather there.
I like Steve's idea, 2 and 2. I've already been on the front page for one violation, so I don't need 2.
Okay, well, 2 and 2 works too, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're simply noting observations. You're not saying, oh, we should do this. Yeah, that's a great idea.
This could be here, or this could be here, this
Right.
reason is good here, and this reason is good there. We don't have to arm wrestle and say, vote on which place you like, but we could comment on what would it be like here, what would it be like there.
I would prefer that you met together and someone was taking notes, and it's all transparent.
Rather than 2 and 2.
Right.
Because 2 and 2, we can say anything.
So,
yeah.
I don't want an inference of trying to.
I like that, okay. I
Well,
like
let's do
that.
it. Let's
So
do
then,
it.
it would be posted here, it would be posted there, we could actually start the meeting there?
You can post the meeting location there.
Yeah.
Well,
You
yeah,
can do the whole
you
thing
would,
there.
Yeah.
but as
Right.
far as, somebody taking notes, they're there for the entire thing. If you wanted to figure out what you're going to do, I think the whole point of meeting back here is then you're on the true record, and you're making your recommendations for the Parks Commission. But
So
let
we
me
start
talk
there,
with Michelle.
start there, notes are taken there, come back here.
Right.
Proper notes are taken, and the
That
other
would
notes
be
are
the
incorporated.
better way, if you're gonna, very determined to meet off-site.
Yep.
As long as we end up here to finalize
Okay,
everything.
that's fair.
I think if we have Scott involved, he's got the UTV there, whoever's
Right.
taking notes can be riding the UTV. Whoever else needs to ride it, or, I can walk it. So
We should
I
all-
think we should be able to figure that out.
Yeah, we'd all work together
9 or 10 in the
with the
morning.
note taker.
You ride in
Travel
a
time.
Kubota, you don't see anything.
Here, back to here, you got an hour, almost 45 minutes.
40
not doing the whole
You
park.
wouldn't
but
wanna
just
do it at
the-
one o'clock.
No, it'd be too late. We'd have to do like a 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. if you're-
Bring a sack lunch, because you're gonna have to eat en route between there and here.
Right.
Yeah.
And then get here after your sack lunch along the way, and then finish the meeting here.
So 10 o'clock?
It would have to be a 10 o'clock meeting.
Yeah.
Would that work for you guys?
Yeah,
It gives us time.
Not on a Tuesday, first or third or something like that.
it could be on a Tuesday as long as it's not on the first.
It can't be next Tuesday. I've got another, meeting, Department of Health and Human Services.
Let's pick a time and get this done.
This, I think what we've decided already is what needed to be decided before next week, correct?
Yeah, pretty much.
So the meeting that you're thinking about doesn't have to happen between now and next Wednesday.
No, but the sooner we do it, then we can keep going, because if we just delay and delay.
So
the
would-
sooner
would-
is
would-
better.
Would all of us be available, say, next Friday?
I can't do Friday.
Okay.
Okay.
What
so
about-
Fridays are off. Keep going.
What about Thursday?
If
It's
we're
gonna
looking,
be
next
pretty-
week.
No, because it's for me, right
Next week,
now.
you mean right after, no, the 18th?
I'm gonna have to push off to the week of the 23rd.
Okay.
all right.
You know, if we're looking at
What about you're gonna be able to?
the 26th
That's not gonna
works,
pull off, it'd be
25th or 26th, somewhere in there.
Hang on, let's hear what Rick's.
Do we still have budget
struggling.
on the 30th?
Oh, the what?
Are we still having budget on the 30th?
No, Tricia can't do that, so they're gonna discuss dates tomorrow on a replacement date.
Okay.
How about
Yeah,
when-
I have beta that last Thursday, and what other than that.
How about Wednesday, the 25th?
Wednesday?
Yeah,
Okay?
So Wednesday's okay?
yeah,
Rick?
yeah.
Okay, Wednesday, the 25th, 10 o'clock. Anybody want to meet earlier than 10? No, that's
I'd
no,
like
I guess.
I'd like to say 9, you know, is that too early? I'd like to say 9:30 because we gotta travel back to here.
I'd say 9,
It
whatever.
could make, it could make a long day.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I wouldn't go any later than 10.
I mean, I'm an early riser, so 8 o'clock works for me, so you guys tell me what time.
You know, I also, I get up early, so the earlier the better.
It's really up to these two.
So, so 9 o'clock?
Yeah. I
Okay,
mean,
9.
What about you?
Steve, 9 okay?
No, 9.
9, cool?
Okay, the 25th at 9.
And the location is Myles, Kimmerly?
Myles, Kimmerly.
And Laura, you'll take care of having that posted, no?
Yeah.
Okay. It has to be posted online, but also we have to put signs up? you
We
said?
have to post it here, and then we have to post it on the site that the meeting is
Okay.
going to be conducted.
Okay, so Scott will be able to do that, I would hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, if not, if you
We'll,
have a problem, I'll do it.
We'll laminate it so it's weatherproof.
Good,
Okay, and the full board meets, we all meet, what is it?
Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, and that's 3 o'clock.
yeah, that's for sure, you know that. Now, please, before we get off there on the 25th, look at the 5-year plan, look at what they outlined there. Maybe even ahead of time, if you have a chance, if you go by there, go and look at the terrain and remember we talked about different sites and dippings. We could design that trail so it's all on flat land, which would be ideal, where none of it's on a rock, too much of a rise. Especially if we're talking about wheelchair access and things like that. So you have to think about all those things, but get out there and look at the map we have, then we get out there, you get a sense of how we can adjust it, I think.
Oh, don't we have 18th, isn't that budget?
It is. But it's in the morning at 9:30.
But are we limited on how long?
Michelle thought that it should be done before 3.
Oh, okay, all right.
That's why I told Don he couldn't hold a meeting at 2.
Oh, yeah, okay. So we're good on the 25th, okay. Anything else?
25th at 9 a.m.
Well, I mean, what time's our park meeting next week?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock,
3
okay.
o'clock. 3 o'clock. Okay, we made a little progress, I think.
It actually is nice when we keep hitting Wednesdays, because
it's concrete, makes it nicer for me.
Okay. Anything else? I don't need, we don't need public comment because no one's here?
Well, you can announce it, and then we just put none back.
Hello, public comment. This lady in the red dress is coming in. Board member comment, anybody?
I'm good.
Do we have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Support.
All in favor? Thank you.
Aye. Don, I'd like to borrow your calendar for a
Sure.
second.
Absolutely.
Looking at our, maybe I can talk to Laura, but anyway,
Okay,
okay, we had
stop,
our
right?
meeting today, and our last meeting, I'd like to go back 4 meetings, the date